and welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On The Rise Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined by New York Pro winner, Rachel Daniels. Yay! That's right, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was right.
Do you know what? All of a sudden, something Tampa just jumped into my head. I apologize for that. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. It's crazy, a bit random. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Now, a few weeks ago, you were not on my radar. And all of a sudden, you know, everyone is now talking about you. You hit the ground running. You won the junior nationals, was it?
Right.
Yeah, the junior nationals, and 1 week later, you won your pro debut. So I want to get a bit of background on you. So tell us a bit about your contest history, please, Rachel.
Okay, so I started weightlifting. I've always been an athlete, but I never really weight trained until probably I started picking up weights like July 2018.
What?
I started competing in a different league called PCA, which is like bigger in Europe.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it, but so I started in bikini. I was like 105 pounds, soaking wet, maybe.
Yeah.
And I did a couple bikini shows, and I did like their world championships, and pretty much all I could do with them. And I wanted to go to the Olympia one day, and there was only one league that was gonna do that for me. So I switched to NPC, and I did my first Mpc show in last year, next weekend last year, so almost a year ago. I did women's physique, so I skipped figure. I just kind of went up to physique. I liked it a lot better, and found my home there. So I did Hurricane Bay in Florida for NPC, and that qualified me. I won that for physique and bodybuilding, and that qualified me for nationals. So I did Miami Nationals in November 2019, and then I got third place, and I needed first or second to get my pro card. So I took an off season, and I did Tampa Pro August 3rd, I think it was. I didn't need to do it because I was already qualified, but I wanted a warm-up show. I hadn't been back on stage, and I wanted to get the feel of things again before nationals. And then I did Junior USA's August 28th. And I got my pro card, which was great. I got the overall.
Yeah.
That was the goal. So I mean, I was just happy with that. And
yeah.
Then, you know, my coach and people were like, you know, you should do New York Pro. It's in Tampa. You live in Tampa. There's really, you know, you're already stage ready. It's 6 days away. Just, you know, what's the worst that could happen? And I was like, oh, I want to do New York Pro. Like, those girls are really big. So. But I talked to my coach, and I kind of went into it thinking like, you know, I could get my feet wet at a pretty big pro show, and I could go into an off season with some solid judge feedback lined up next to the pros, not lined up next to the amateurs. So that would be really great for my off season. And then I was planning on having a long off season, and then the New York Pro went the way it did, and now
incredible.
We're going to push the off-season a little bit back because we're going to the Olympia.
I'll be honest, Rachel, I don't think I've ever heard... I mean, you just said there you started like kind of weight training in 2018. And I saw the video on your Instagram where you were in the PCA show doing bikini. And I was thinking, I actually checked the date, and I was like, no, that must be the wrong date. That has to be the wrong date, because I've never seen... To go from bikini to physique and what you've achieved, I don't think I've ever heard of anything... quite like that. Honestly, I'm trying to think. I mean, Derek Lunsford did it where he won the USA's. Then he did the Tampa. This is 2017 in July. Then he came and won the 212 at the Tampa, and then 6 weeks later he got 5th and Rookie of the Year at the Olympia. But I don't think I've ever seen such a fast rise of someone literally starting training, doing bikini, going from bikini to women's physique, and then a week later going and winning their pro debut. I mean, it's absolutely astonishing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. I'm still trying to kind of accept it all, but yeah, I just put my head down, and I loved muscle, and the more I trained, I just started growing, and I did everything to the T for 2 years, and this is where we are. So
yeah, I mean, I did actually see a picture. Someone posted a picture of you a few days after the Junior USA's, and it was a back shot, and they said that Rachel will win the New York Pro. She will win the New York Pro, and I was so you were on my radar when you came into the New York Pro. And when I heard you won, I was like, oh, I remember someone saying that, because it was a back shot, and it was just all the detail and the conditioning was absolutely insane.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to be known for my conditioning. I'm not like the biggest girl on stage, but I pride myself on my conditioning and my posing, so I try to use those to my advantage as much as I can, since I don't have like maybe the same amount of muscle maturity that some of these other pro girls do. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I mean, sounds like a weird question, but did you expect to win the New York Pro? What was your coach's expectations, given how good you looked at the Junior USA and knowing what the standard was like?
I did not expect to even get first call outs.
Oh, wow, okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, we're just going in this, you know, to get some judges' feedback.
Yeah.
And you know, what's the worst that could happen? I lose my first pro show, and it's a pretty big pro show, so I wouldn't have been mad either way. I felt really honored just to get up there with some of the girls that I've watched on Instagram since I started and look up to, you know, other Olympians. That makes me feel really great. So, but I mean, my coach he was the first person. My coach is Shelby Starnes. So
Shelby, of course, yeah, Shelby, yeah. Yeah,
so I obviously I trust him 100%, and I talked to him before anything, and he was pretty confident, and he said, you're definitely gonna be the most conditioned. You might not be the biggest, and but either way, we're gonna give him a show. So yeah, so I just gave my best, and the cards played in my favor that day. It was my day.
Yeah. So was Shelby the one that encouraged you after you won the Junior USA to go and do the New York Pro 1 week later?
He was definitely one of the people who did. I actually got off stage after I just won my pro card, and JM was there, and he was, you know, he does all the interviews right after, so he brought me over, and he's like, so you're doing your pro next weekend, right? And I was like,
oh really? And you hadn't even thought about it?
Yeah, I was like half crying because I got my pro card, and that was like the best thing in the world to me. And he was like, yeah, so you're gonna do it. Like, he just kept saying it, and then he's like, you're crazy not to. And I talked to some of the judges, and some of them had seen me at Tampa Pro, and you know, they said, you know, get on stage. You know, you don't know what could happen. You could something could happen to you, and you don't get to get back on stage. And I personally hate regret and thinking of like what ifs and things like that. So I stayed up pretty much all night thinking in my head the night after I won my pro card, because my heart was first of all beating so fast. And I emailed my coach at like 4 in the morning, and he's always up because he's a crazy night owl work addict. And he emailed me. I had emailed him when I went on my Instagram, and he already had sent me the flyer for New York Pro. So I was like, you think we could do this? Like, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, we're definitely need to do this. So yeah, I got right back on my meal plan, which was kind of hard because I wanted to like just go crazy.
yeah. How long had you been dieting for it by this point?
I got with Shelby. We started cutting down like 8 weeks out from Tampa Pro, and that was probably Tampa Pro was August 1st. So a good little bit, but he's really great about, you know, recovery and giving carbs and refeeds when they were needed. So I was feeling pretty good, and each show I was getting better, and I was actually just getting tighter and leaner the more I started to get food. So I was eating a lot, honestly. I was eating more than I've ever ate before a show. So
that's really good.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's good. So what were you secretly hoping for personally, you know, internally? What were you secretly hoping for from getting your pro card to that week going into the New York Pro, your pro debut?
I mean, obviously, I was secretly hoping to win everything and go to the Olympia.
Yeah, so you literally were going there with the hope to not just get judges' feedback. Really, you were going there to win.
Yeah, I try to keep myself logical, but I didn't come to lose, if that makes sense. Yeah. I still, you know, I'm not gonna walk into a show and be like, oh well, this is my first pro show, I'm not gonna try hard. No, I'm gonna I tried everything I could do in a week to just make myself the best I could. I treat every show like I'm prepping for the Olympia, whether it's like a bikini, my first bikini show, or, you know, New York Pro. I always, I probably do more than I have to. That's just the kind of person I am. Yeah. Because I want to bring my best, and regardless of what the other girls look like, I'm very hard on myself, and I hold pretty highly beating the last girl that I was on stage the last time. So.
I suppose because, I mean, years ago, I think before the split, you know, if you'd have to then apply for your pro card after you'd won a show, and realistically it wasn't, you know, it could be months later by the time you got your pro card. Now you're literally given your pro card on stage, and we saw, I mean, the pro Joe Seaman, who was in the Cali Pro on the weekend, he won the amateur at the Toronto last year, and then 4 hours later he's getting 4th place in the pro. So it really adds an added excitement element, you know, to these shows. So, and at the end of the day, for you, it's 1 week extra dieting, and you've already got your pro card. So what have you got to lose?
Yeah, so it's funny you brought that up, because JM actually brought that story up backstage at Nationals. He's like, this guy did it, like. Yeah. And I was like, I was like, how do I get my pro card? Like, I don't really know anything about this, and like you said, I knew it would take some time, but you know, they really helped me out, just pointing me in the right direction and getting my. Good. I got my IFBB card officially was in the IFBB on Monday after Nationals, and then that was actually the last day to register for New York Pro. So I was like, just like trying to do all this stuff. Yeah. But I made the cut, which was great, and I couldn't have done it without the help of the IFBB and everyone just kind of pointing me in the right direction.
You haven't just made the cut, you've qualified for the Olympia in your pro debut 1 week after turning pro. I mean, when you actually say it out loud, that's pretty incredible. I mean, that must be, especially, I mean, it's nice to hear these kind of feel-good stories in such a horrible year for so many people, you know. It's nice. I think there's a real added excitement to the shows at the moment with the Cali Pro, the New York Pro, the Tampa, Savannah, you know, because there was so much uncertainty, so many, like Arnold Australia, all these shows cancelled and put back and moved around and changed to different cities and different states. So now to hear these kind of stories, I think it really adds. I think it's going to give you a lot of momentum and a lot of excitement, you know, for your profile and everything you're doing going into the Olympia. I think it's a real good story to kind of learn, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard so many crazy stories, and like you said, a lot of people didn't even have access to gyms. Yeah. So it's really cool. I mean, I know a girl who just, you know, she was in the military, getting moved all over, and you know, still all these athletes are still finding ways to lift somehow.
Finding a way. Finding
ways to get their meals. Yeah, and still finding ways to show up, and that's like you said, it's super inspirational. I mean, at least for me to hear about, and you know, that's just the warrior mentality that a lot of us have. Like, we're not gonna, you know, Corona or not, we're gonna do what we love. So I think you're right. It is like way more special this year because I think everyone had to work a little harder and go through some more emotional trials than they normally would have, and you know, really challenge their self and their routines. So it means a lot more when we're all champions.
I think I'm especially fascinated by the way that some have actually managed to improve their physiques, not just maintain. Or I was expecting everyone to come in a little bit less, you know. I was expecting everyone to be a little bit smaller. No, these guys come back and I'm thinking, hang on, they've actually improved, you know. So, I mean, we had a story of Ronald Gordon. He was saying he was hide in a closet because the security game he wasn't supposed to be training, and all these crazy stories of climbing over fences at 11 o'clock at night and training at midnight and commuting 3 hours a day just to be able to get to a gym that you know you can access. I mean, it's been some really great stories coming out in the last few weeks, you know, since all the shows started and on this show. So, right, okay. Now I was looking at your Instagram. Now you've popped up on my radar. I was looking at your Instagram, and I'm intrigued by this back tattoo and the story behind your spine. I saw the you know, the scan of your spine. Tell us about that.
So I'm adopted, so I didn't have any like medical history to go off of, and I was a gymnast first and foremost, pretty much my entire childhood, and I was a very competitive gymnast. And once I started going through puberty around like maybe like 11 or 12, my spine started obviously like growing the most, and my doctor was like, you have some scoliosis, you should go see a spine surgeon. And they were like, you know, you need to wear a brace 24 hours a day. Your spine has like, you have pretty bad scoliosis and it's just going to get worse. And I was training and I was like, I'm not doing that. So I didn't. And then around the time I was 14, I went back to my spine surgeon here in Tampa at All Children's Hospital. And he was like, you know, the brace probably wouldn't have done anything anyways. Your scoliosis, it's just genetic. And it's to the point where you're going to need reconstructive surgery of your back. I mean, before I got my surgery, I was having trouble breathing or like walking upstairs because my spine was sort of like a capital S, I guess I would describe it.
Yeah.
Like you can see on my x-ray, and it was just starting to push on my organs. And, you know, if I didn't get it eventually by probably my early 20s, I would have passed away. So
Whoa.
It wasn't really, so it was really severe. And it wasn't really it wasn't really like an optional surgery. It was like, you need to do this. Yeah, so I did that, and it was a huge surgery. Thankfully, you know, my parents and I just had a great support system. My mom used to help me, like we would walk around the pool 3 times like every day because I had to learn to like walk again and everything. And that was, you know, they all stuck with me. And my doctor told me like that was the end of my gymnastics career, obviously, because my spine doesn't bend really anywhere except for my sacral area and my cervical area. Okay. So he told me like, you know, you're probably not going to be athletic anymore and this and that. And I just never really like bought that or saw myself that way. So I moved on to dance because I couldn't like flip anymore, and I got really into theater and stuff like that. And then did a little boxing, and then I found my home in weight training. But I mean, it really hasn't limited me, I guess. The only thing I really don't do is like conventional deadlifts, but I sumo deadlift because I can hinge at the hip instead of putting a lot of stress on my lower back. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like a transformer. So.
Yeah, I mean, what about things like squatting and other compound overhead presses and stuff like that? Are you okay to do those?
Yeah, I love squatting. Really, like I said, the only exercise that I really am limited by is like a conventional deadlift. And honestly, I don't think, you know, like there's other exercises you can do for those muscle groups. So working around it, as far as like my posing, I do have some strength like indifferences just because my hips are still rotated a little bit from my spine. So I have to do like a lot of, you know, lateral stuff. But no, I mean, I'm super blessed, and I'm way better off than I would have been without it. And I think training my back muscles and making them stronger really only helps support my spine.
That was kind of my next question. I was saying, did you think the training is actually on having the muscle around your, you know, the lower back and the rhomboids and the lats and everything? Do you think that's actually, because I remember speaking to Benedict Magnuson, he was like, this was about 14 years ago, and he was like a world champion. He was like one of the first guys to deadlift 1,000 pound, and he said he had a pre-existing genetic back condition, and he said I have to keep training, because he said if I start losing the strength and the muscle in my lower back, he says I will end up with severe spine problems. So almost like training actually and having that muscle there actually helps it. It's not impeding his his spinal problems.
No, I mean, yeah, like it's a lot of people would think, I mean, understandably, like, oh wow, why are you putting all that weight on your back? Like that's bad for it. But I mean, if you're not training like an idiot and you're doing proper form and you know, progressing, like you said, it's only going to benefit my spinal stability. And I mean, there's stretches I can do, and I have my chiropractor who is also a bodybuilder, so he's very in tune with what I need to be doing in my body as an athlete and as a medical doctor. So yeah, there's the stronger my back muscles get, the better off my spine is if I train smart. So
what did I see on that x-ray? Was it that you got pins in your back, or is there some sort of cage? Or
yeah, so I describe it as like a bowling alley. So if where you throw the bowling ball is my spine, the bumpers would be like, I have 2 titanium rods on either side of my spine, so that when it grows, it bumps into it and it grows straight. And then the hooks, I have 24 screws and 6 hooks in my back, and those are just binding the titanium in there. But I mean, over the years, I was 14 when I got that, so over the years, your spine and the bones and everything, they all fuse and grow into the titanium, so everything's a lot more stabilized now. And it's permanent, you know, they're never gonna, you know, take that out or anything like that. So
good.
They got a lot of hardware in there.
Yeah, so is airport security an issue?
Yeah. I always get there
beep, 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 beep.
really early, because I usually get like the weird look from the
here we go again
lady, and they pull me over, and I'm just like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've dealt with that, but it's worth it.
Good. Okay. So what's this? Because your Instagram handle isn't your name; it's the real Lois Lane. Now I want to know. I'm hoping you're a comic book nerd like myself and Carlene. So tell us the story behind that.
The real Lois Lane, I guess it's kind of like a weird metaphor. I mean, Lois, if you know, obviously she was with Clark and Superman, and for me, the kind of meaning behind it is she was always kind of the girl who got saved by Superman. She was like almost a damsel in distress character. And that's kind of how I was, to be honest, before I started bodybuilding. I was really like lost as a person, and I was always trying to blame the world for my problems. Not that she was, but I was always like looking for someone else to save me, and I never took responsibility for any of my actions and saved myself. And so I guess like her, you know, in some of the comics, she turns into Superwoman, so it's like that's kind of what I did with bodybuilding. I finally decided to stop asking for credit for things I hadn't earned yet, and I put my ego down, and I told myself I was going to be the strongest woman that I knew, and I just got to work, and it's kind of the evolution into the Superwoman, and it's just kind of also my like stage personality. Like, I'm Rachel when I'm not on stage, and when I'm about to go on stage, I'm like, okay, Lois, let's go.
The real Lois Lane, yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I saw the video you with Drax anyway on Instagram.
Yeah.
But Dave Bautista, tell us about
that. Dave's got his gym, his private. Well, he lives over here when he's in town, and actually lives like 5 minutes from me, which is like super cool. So I go there sometimes to train, and it's really nice to just get away. And he's a super cool dude, and yeah, he's welcomed me into his gym, which is really great, because I mean, especially in prep, I like my solitude. I like to train alone. I like to lock in, and I like to be able to pose whenever I want. And it can get distracting at a commercial gym. So I feel really blessed, and he's just a great dude to get like advice from as well. He's got a good soul, and he's a good businessman. So he's a great asset to have, and I'm happy to call him a friend.
That's nice. Has he still got all the little fluffy dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. No, because I met him. He was at my gym back in 2015. They were doing the SmackDown tour. And I was chatting to Triple H. All of them were there, and he was there. And I remember talking to him about his little fluffy dogs, because he's a big guy, because he was in Muscle and Fitness. It was a while ago now, at least 10 years ago, when he was kind of at his all-time biggest, you know. And yeah, I remember saying it was quite funny having a big guy with these little tiny little fluffy, what are they, Pomeranians or something? Or...
Yeah, he has his pit bull. He has some pit bulls now, but they're just
That's better.
Big cuddle bugs. So
yeah. So
I love dogs in the gym. I think it's a good vibe.
Okay. Have you ever hassled him about trying to get an audition for a Marvel film or something?
No, I mean...
Well, although Lois Lane is DC, sorry, for the nerds. She gets that.
Nah, I'll figure that out. I try to just not ask a lot from people, and, you know, if they want to give me help or teach me something I don't know, I take it as a blessing and try not to take advantage of it. So I'm just happy I get to train there as of right now.
Good. Yeah, honestly, I think your story is I think it's one of the most it's one of the ones I think I'll always remember, because like I said, I had a little brief look through your Instagram and I was like, hang on, bikini 2 years ago, and there were so many different things that were kind of drawing me forward, you know, that were interesting me, and I just thought, what a story this has been for 2020, what you've managed to achieve. And thing is, 2020 ain't over yet. You've still got the Olympia to do. So what are your hopes for the Olympia? What have you and Shelby spoke about what you want to try and achieve at the Olympia?
Yes, definitely. So the Olympia, like I said, I'm gonna prep. It's gonna be my most important prep. Obviously, it probably means the most.
Yeah.
I'm gonna train, and I'm going to do all the things that I do to the T, like I usually do. We only have a couple months, so you know, I talk to the judges, talk to my coach, and just like the people in my circle that I trust the most, who know my physique the best.
Yeah.
And for everybody's, you know, kind of from what I've got is, I'm not gonna be able to get put on a stupid amount of mass before the Olympia. Maybe if I could put on like a pound of muscle, that'd be great. But I can grow pretty quick, so I'm pretty confident that I can put on some...
No shit. 2 years, you go from bikini to physique. I grow mass pretty easily. Yeah, I think we've established that one. Wow.
So yeah,
understatement.
Like just knowing my own body, and it's unrealistic that I could bring a bigger package. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not going to do anything crazy and change. We're not going to change anything wild to try to just be like ridiculously big. And
you don't need to.
I don't think that size is always the biggest factor, but I do need a little more muscle maturity, and that's just going to come with time. It's not like I'm doing something wrong. That, you know, I'm just newer at this. So yeah. So like I said, the judges said conditioning wise, I was fine. I was where I need to be. I don't need to be any leaner than that, or we'll probably start getting into like cross striations and bodybuilding and stuff, and that might hurt me a little bit. So we'll bring the same conditioning, hopefully a little bit more size, and I'm just gonna give them a show with my posing. That's my thing. So
I think your conditioning, your separation, and for me, it's exceptional from the back, because that first shot I saw of you was that back shot, and I just went, wow. You know, I was like, who is this? That's when I really, like, you got my attention, and someone was like, look, this girl's probably going to win the New York Pro. And I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. So impressive. And the quality, and the you know, it's like you got such a neat package in terms of your quality of your muscle, you know. And when you said you'd work with Shelby, it's almost like a Shelby look. There's like a quality to hold, right. You know, you can always spot his competitors, because they all have that really, they have this conditioned look, but they don't look like emaciated or drawn or starved. They don't have a starved look. Like you said, you ate more food, you know, but there you're bringing unbelievable condition. Another thing that's popped up into my head, how many preps have you actually done if you've only been competing 2 years?
Like all together shows, even with the other league I did. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, like, I don't know actually. Maybe like 6.
Not many, is it?
Yeah. No, but I mean, I did all the past 3 in this month. August, I did Tampa Pro.
You can class that as one prep.
Okay, that month.
Yeah, that is one prep. That's just I mean, I did 4 shows in a row once, and I only consider that one prep.
Yeah, that was all with Shelby. I mean, he changed my whole perspective on bodybuilding. I used to come in, you know, really flat on stage, and like you said, like I was peeled, but I was like emaciated looking, and it's just not, you know, that's not going to get you anywhere. So I mean, his food manipulation and his approach on just recovery, and then kind of building you back up towards the end to where you can get on stage with this full look, but by the time he fills you out, your metabolism is so jumping that like you can be peeled also. It was just such a new experience for me, and it really felt like for the first time I made some serious improvements. And I don't really get impressed by my physique a lot, and I mean, I remember I woke up before nationals and before New York Pro, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, holy shit, like
I think a lot of people had that same reaction because your condition, it was really like, you know, when someone nails it perfectly. Can you imagine if you hadn't have done the New York Pro? I mean, you would have been, people would have been talking about you, but you know, you've gone from, what's that, 4 months as an amateur to standing on stage at the Olympia, you know, and you think you're going to look like you really do belong there, you know, because you won the New York Pro, and that's not a small show. That's a really big show to win. So go back to Shelby, though. I mean, he really is. I met Shelby come up and introduced himself at the Olympia last year. I didn't know who he was because I didn't know what he looked like, because I obviously know his name. He actually prepped my ex-girlfriend once, actually, for a guest posing. But yeah, and obviously I spoke to her about, you know, how he prepped, and I thought, my God, this guy is next level. He really is. He really is. I mean, probably one of the best prep coaches in the world, without.
Incredible. Yeah, and I mean, like, there'd be some days, like, I'd send my check-in pictures, and you know, he'd email me in like 2 minutes back, and he's like, "Yep, you're perfect," or this or that, and I'm like, "Did you look at the pictures? Like, how did you get through with that?"
Yeah.
Like,
he just knows.
Like, is this guy watching, or is he just like sick? But no, he called it. Like, he knows what he's doing. He also keeps it real. Like, he's not gonna lie to you and tell you look ready if you don't. He's not gonna put you on stage if you aren't there. And I mean, he totally changed my perspective on what a prep is and what to prioritize and what bodybuilding is. So I mean that just made my confidence skyrocket. And I think when you're that depleted as well, and you know, obviously anything you're feeling kind of shows on your body, whether it's your stress or your confidence. And we just got on a roll, and we got better with every show, which was, you know, I commend him also for that, for being able to maintain my peak like the way he did over a month, because I know I've seen a lot of competitors, and I'm sure you have too, where they just, you know, they do one show and they look great, and then they do back-to-back shows and they're kind of, you know, getting more flat, or they don't look the same. But ours was kind of opposite. It was like Tampa Pro, I probably, you know, I looked nice, and then Junior USA I was like, oh, it's a little nicer, and then New York Pro, it was like, that was my best look. So and that's hard to do. I mean, and he's on, and he loves what he does. So I mean, it's great for him, because that's just what he loves. But I couldn't be more blessed. It's just I have a really great team behind me that believes in me, and they're all good people, and I do the best when I'm around people that I believe in. So I couldn't be more blessed.
They've elevated you and supported you, and they're bringing out the best in you, and that's what you've become a product of your environment and who you surrounded yourself with. They've helped you to be better and achieve and move forward. And sounds to me like you've got everything in your corner to really, really. I mean, your career has already taken off, but I mean, in the next couple of years, I mean, I was trying to work out your age. I shouldn't ask that. Am I allowed to ask that? No. Colin says no, because I told him off the other week for asking someone's age. So I think you're quite young, aren't you?
I guess it depends on your definition of young. I'm 28 this month.
That's young.
Okay, I turned 28 on August 17th, so right before Nationals. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm new at this, and you know, no matter what happens at this Olympia, I just, in my head, I'm like, look, you know, I want to be a champion for a lifetime and not for a day. And I have, you know, if I train smart and I treat my body well, I think I can, with time, just get better, you know. And that's the goal, and it's pretty limitless. So I'm very excited just for the future. It's like everything's great.
Do you know what I really want to see at the Olympia? I really want to see the rear shots of you next to Shanique. I want to see that rear double bicep next to Shanique. That's the call out I'm really hoping for. I hope you two get to be stood next to each other. You, Zara Villegas, Natalia Coelho, and you know, and you, and then maybe one other. I can't think who right now, but Danny Castillo or someone like that. And I just really. Just to see how you compare, and to see, you know, because you obviously you don't win the New York Pro in your pro debut if you haven't got serious potential, Rachel. I mean, it's yeah, I'm really excited to follow your career over the next few years. Do you think you'd ever would have gone into fitness? I mean, you've always had the back problems, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I love fitness. I think what they do is like just mind blowing. Like the fact that they can do what they do and diet is insane. I can barely tie my shoes when I'm depleted. But like, they're out here doing like push-up flips. But I can't really bend, so I probably like my spine. So I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff. Maybe if I did not have that surgery, I totally could, because that's all the stuff I did in gymnastics. But I really think I found my home in women's physique. That's just my style, and the posing is, I connect with it, and so I'll stay there. But I'm with you. I would love to see that back double bicep shot next to the big girls. Obviously I've followed them for a while, and I have nothing but respect for them. So it's just, even seeing my name on the list next to them, I feel like very humbled by that, and I would love. I want to see that back double.
I want to see it. I think we're always excited by new faces, but when you get new faces, like Zara Villegas did last year, she went. I mean, she was on no one's radar. No one could have foreseen what she managed to achieve, taking second place at Olympia. But there's you come along now, and it's like it's added an extra element of excitement to an already exciting Olympia. So I think I'm really, I think you've already got a lot of people talking, and I hope that momentum continues into the Olympia, and I'm glad you're doing the Olympia, and I'm glad you managed to achieve your dream. But the thing is, you're obviously destined to do women's physique. If you went from bikini to women's physique, from a bikini PCA show, and 2 years later you're stepping on stage in a women's physique as a New York Pro Winner. I mean, that really, if that doesn't say that you were predestined to do that category, then I don't know what is really too. So.
I almost want to see myself next to Sarah more than Shanique. And Shanique has an amazing physique, but I think just physique-wise, I think I'm a little bit more comparable to what Sarah brings. So when I saw her last year, I was like, who is this? Like, she looks beautiful, and her conditioning's amazing, and all the girls are great. So it'll be great to get that perspective. I mean, instead of just putting like screenshots next to
for Photoshop. Oh, finally before we go, any thank yous you want to give? Any shout outs, sponsors, or people in your team?
Obviously my coach Shelby, Kenny Wallach has helped me a lot with my mandatory poses. Good. My sponsor, Titan Medical, has gone above and beyond to help me be able to do any of these shows, especially the last minute ones. So I'm very grateful for them. My Suits You for making my suits, and they're going to do my Olympia suit, which is great. And just my family and God, honestly, because he's the one who made all this happen. I'm just very blessed. And like I said, I have a great team with me, and everyone thinks bodybuilding is a single man or woman sport just because we're the ones who get up there by ourselves at the end of the day on stage, but it's really not. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes and behind the athlete that make it happen on show days. So they all deserve that respect, and I'm very grateful for every single one of them.
Well, you've got an amazing story even so far, and your career, you're 28 years old, your career is just beginning. So I think it's going to be, I think you've really hit the ground running, and I think it's you've added, like I said, you've added a lot of excitement to the pro scene and to the Olympia, to a year, like I said, that has been, quite challenging for everyone. So
Well, we do the best. We do the best when we're in compromising and challenging situations. I think bodybuilders do. So I work good under pressure, and I'm ready to give them a show.
Yeah, and that is a champion's mindset. So do not count this lady out at the Olympia. So, okay, Rachel, well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and this has been a real pleasure. And really excited to see what you'll be bringing to the Olympia in December in Las Vegas.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
It's great to meet you.
Well, I'll come up and grab you at the Olympia or something. You'll probably see me anyway. Screaming and shouting and going crazy. And
I'll be the short girl. just thank you guys so much, and sure we'll talk again.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.